Do you think you're a good dog owner? Most people would say yes without hesitating, and they're probably right. But here's something that nobody talks about. Some of the most damaging things that happen to dogs don't come from neglect. They don't come from bad owners. They come from good owners doing normal things, every single day, without ever realizing what those things are costing their dog. Today, we're covering 9 of them, and I can almost guarantee you're doing at least 3. Let's start with the one that surprises people the most. 1. Walking your dog on a tight leash. You walk your dog every day. You think that's enough. And in many ways it is. But there's a version of the daily walk that quietly builds tension in your dog's body over months and years, and most owners never notice it happening. A tight leash is not neutral. When the leash is constantly pulling, even slightly, your dog's neck and shoulders are in a state of low-level physical strain for the entire walk. Over time, that strain travels. It affects posture. It affects how the dog holds their head. It affects their breathing. A 2018 study published in the Journal of Veterinary Behavior found that dogs walked on tight leashes showed significantly higher cortisol levels, the stress hormone, than dogs given slack. That means every walk on a tight leash is a walk inside a mild stress response. Your dog is not relaxed. They are managing. The fix is not complicated. Loosen the leash. Slow down. Let your dog set the pace for at least part of the walk. The goal isn't covering ground. The goal is giving your dog a nervous system that recovers, not one that stays permanently wound up. 2. Hugging them. This one is hard to hear because hugging your dog feels like love. It is love. For you. But dogs do not hug each other. There is no equivalent gesture in canine body language that means what a hug means to a human. What a hug actually looks like to a dog is a larger body pressing down on them from above, trapping their front legs, restricting their ability to move away. A study by Dr. Stanley Coren, analyzing over 250 photographs of people hugging their dogs, found that in 81.6% of images, the dog was showing at least one clear stress signal. Ears back, head turned away, whale eye, lip lick, yawning. 81.6%. And yet we keep hugging them because they let us. They let us because they trust us. Not because it feels good. Watch your dog the next time you hug them. Watch the ears. Watch the eyes. Watch whether they lean in or go very still. Still is not the same as happy. Still is tolerance. There are better ways to show your dog love in their own language, and we'll get to one of them before this video ends. 3. Inconsistent rules. Can your dog get on the couch? Sometimes. Can they beg at the table? Depends on the day. Can they jump up to greet people? It depends who's visiting. This kind of inconsistency feels harmless and even kind. You're being flexible. You're reading the situation. But your dog cannot read the situation. They can only read the pattern. And when the pattern keeps changing, something quiet happens inside them. They stop being able to predict their world. And a dog that cannot predict their world is a dog living with chronic low-level anxiety. Research into canine cognition shows that dogs are exceptional pattern learners, but they depend on those patterns being stable. When the rules shift daily, they don't learn freedom, they learn uncertainty. And uncertainty in a social animal is stress by another name. This doesn't mean being harsh or rigid. It means deciding on the rules and holding them consistently. Your dog doesn't need more freedom. They need more clarity. Clarity is what actually makes them feel safe. And stay with me, because later in this video I'll tell you about one mistake that almost every owner makes out of pure love that may be doing more quiet damage than anything else on this list. 4. Leaving them alone with no mental stimulation. You leave for work, you put out fresh water, a bowl of food, maybe a toy or two. You feel good about that. But here is what your dog's next 8 hours actually look like. Nothing happens. Nothing changes. Nobody comes. There is nothing to figure out, nothing to explore, nothing to do. Dogs are not built for that kind of emptiness. They are problem-solving animals with a brain that needs to work. When that brain has nothing to work on, it doesn't simply rest. It finds something. It chews the furniture. It paces. It barks at sounds. It develops rituals and anxieties that solidify over time into genuine behavioral problems. A 2020 study published in Current Biology confirmed that dogs form real attachment bonds with their owners, similar to the bonds human infants form with caregivers. Prolonged daily isolation doesn't just bore them, it stresses them at an attachment level. The fix doesn't require you to quit your job. It requires 15 minutes before you leave, a stuffed Kong, a scatter feed, a nosework game hidden around the house, a frozen puzzle. Give their brain something to do, and you change the quality of their entire day. 5. Punishing them after the fact. Your dog chewed your shoe. You come home, see the damage, and you let them know you're unhappy. Maybe you raise your voice. Maybe you hold the shoe up and say their name in a sharp tone. It feels like the right response. It feels like they need to know. But here is what your dog is actually experiencing in that moment. They have no idea what they did wrong. Dogs do not have the cognitive architecture to connect a consequence to an action that happened hours ago. What they do have is an extraordinary ability to read your emotional state right now. So when you come home and your energy is angry, they respond to the anger, not to the shoe. The crouching, the tucked tail, the guilty face. That is not guilt. That is appeasement. It is your dog trying to calm you down. A landmark study by Alexandra Horowitz at Barnard College demonstrated this precisely. Dogs showed the same guilty-looking behavior whether they had actually misbehaved or not, based entirely on how the owner entered the room. Punishing after the fact doesn't teach them anything. It only teaches them that your homecoming is sometimes unsafe, and that is the last thing you want your dog to learn. 6. Skipping the wind-down after exercise. You take your dog for a run, a long walk, an intense game of fetch. They are panting and happy and worn out. You come home, you put the leash away, and you go make dinner. That feels like the right sequence. But your dog's nervous system is still running. Their cortisol is elevated. Their heart rate is coming down slowly. And if there is no transition, no quiet time, no calm moment, no signal that the intensity is over, some dogs never fully come down. They stay in a low hum of arousal that makes them restless, reactive, and harder to settle. Think of it the way athletes think about cool downs. The exercise is not complete without the recovery. After a high-intensity session, sit with your dog for 10 minutes. Let them decompress. Gentle strokes, a quiet space, let the nervous system land. That transition is not a luxury. It is part of the care. 7. Using their name as a warning. Say your dog's name right now in your head. What feeling does it carry? For most dogs, their name means, look at me. Pay attention. Something is happening. But in millions of homes, the dog's name is also used to signal disapproval. Called out sharply when they're doing something wrong, used before a scolding, attached to frustration. Over time, the name stops being a neutral attention cue. It becomes a signal that something bad is coming. And when that happens, dogs start responding to their own name with anxiety instead of attention. They hesitate. They look away. They approach slowly. The name should be the most positive sound in your dog's life, the word that always leads somewhere good. Make it a rule. Never use their name in anger. Never attach it to punishment. Use it only when something wonderful is about to happen. Over time, you will notice them perk toward it instead of shrinking from it. That shift matters more than it sounds. 8. Forcing greetings with other dogs or people. Your dog hangs back when another dog approaches on the leash. You encourage them forward anyway. A guest arrives and your dog retreats to the corner. You bring the guest over to say hello anyway. You want your dog to be social. You want them to be okay. But what you are actually teaching them in those moments is that their signals don't work, that when they say no, the answer is still yes. Dogs communicate discomfort through body language before they ever escalate to growling or snapping. The turned head, the stiff body, the weight shifting backward. These are full sentences. When we override them, we don't make the dog more comfortable. We teach them that the only signal that gets heard is the loud one. And that is how bite incidents happen. Not from dangerous dogs, but from dogs who learned that everything else was ignored. Respect the number. Let your dog approach on their own terms, or not approach at all. A dog who is never forced will stay more confident over time, not less. 9. Not saying goodbye before you leave. This is the one I mentioned earlier, the one that comes from love. Many owners have heard that making a big deal of leaving creates separation anxiety, that you should slip out quietly, no fuss, no drama, no long goodbye. And there is some truth to that. Prolonged emotional departures can heighten a dog's distress. But what many owners have taken from that advice is to leave with no acknowledgement at all. No eye contact. No word. Just gone. And for a dog who is deeply bonded to you, that silent disappearance can feel abrupt and disorienting every single time. There is a middle path. A calm, brief, warm goodbye. 30 seconds. Crouching down. A gentle word in a steady voice. Not emotional, not dramatic, just present. I'll be back. That small ritual tells your dog something important. You didn't vanish, you left. And leaving and vanishing are completely different things to an animal that loves you. You got through the whole list, and if you recognized yourself in some of these, that's not something to feel bad about. Every single one of these mistakes comes from caring, from trying, from doing what seemed right with the information you had. Now you have better information, and that is the only thing that has ever changed anything.